There's players early in their career that are such special talents and can make an impact on a contending or just a more competitive team, but unfortunately that doesn't always end up being the case. Being an elite talent like LaMelo Ball, you're going to get drafted to a rather less talented team most of the time, and at the time of the draft, LaMelo was selected by the Charlotte Hornets, who really needed that star, and they indeed got that. But now that they have LaMelo, I think they've realized that yes, having a star is great, but more than that, you need a much better team so you can complement your star piece. So far, the Hornets have failed to put the right pieces around Ball, and no, I'm not saying it's completely over as they have time to get things right, but starting it off like this is where things can start to look scary. Sure, they have been injury riddled and the loss of Miles Bridges this season hurts a lot, but when you have an elite talent like LaMelo, you can't just let it go to waste and you must put together a game plan quick. Since stepping on the scene, LaMelo has uplifted this Hornets team in every way possible, from ticket sales to chemistry on the court and to overall wins season to season. His confidence is contagious, as you can see he makes everyone on the floor around him better and he doesn't shy away from the moment whatsoever. We're just now approaching the second half of this NBA season and LaMelo has only played in 16 games, but from his outing so far, you can see something special brewing in his future. Just by being on the floor with Melo, his teammates can benefit greatly as long as they insert themselves in the right spot within the offense. The Hornets play at a slightly faster pace when Melo's on the court versus when he's not, and they also have a better effective field goal and true shooting percentage as well. Now, as you can see, the increases when Melo on the court isn't drastic, but when you're talking about a team that really just isn't that great, any type of positive contribution is huge for them. In just his third year in the NBA, Melo has already become a passing prodigy and can dime up his teammates in many ways. Whether he decides to deceive the defense with these floater-like lobs, slices passes through two defenders to the roll man, or drops it home to a teammate with the behind the back, Melo is a pretty nifty passer who can thread it in many ways. When you have a young guy leading your offense, it can sometimes result to complications. Things like playing out of control at high speeds or too much dribbling, not being able to get it to the open man at the right time or sometimes not even at all, and all while having struggles being able to get the offense flowing. With LaMelo, he doesn't really lack in those departments that heavy. Maybe he occasionally gets out of control and can play a little too much street ball, but from an overall perspective, Melo is pretty solid. When the floor opens up in transition, it's the easiest time to go score if you react fast enough before the defense can get back. And with these bullets up the court, it helps Charlotte convert quickly at the other end. LaMelo always has his eyes up scanning the floor and it benefits him greatly in these situations. Watch as Melo gets the pass from Oubre. Before he even decides to dribble, he's already scouting for a teammate up the floor, and after two quick dribbles, Melo throws this lob from a little bit before half court for the Plumlee connection. Then if he wants to get a little creative, adding in some more difficulty, Melo can wrap a bounce pass around a 7-2 Bobo, leading the pass out in front for a soaring McDaniel slam. He's pretty quick on the run to set up his teammates, and this leads directly into his facilitating in the half court. Amongst all 3-year players who average at least 3 assists per game, LaMelo is second in assists at 8.1, second in potential assists at 13.8, and is first in secondary assist at 1.2. Melo sets up so much for this offense, and although he is no superstar level talent or anything just yet, Melo has a certain type of gravity when on the floor, and it takes tons of pressure off his teammates' shoulders. When you have a point guard who can set you up and take the responsibility of having to create for yourself off your shoulders, it can really benefit you greatly as you can focus on other aspects of your game. When he breaks down the defense with his dribble drive penetration, Melo has a wide variety of ways he can distribute it around the floor, and it's amazing how quick he can make these decisions. LaMelo has these strong kickouts after collapsing the defense and can just sling the pass out for easy looks. The other night versus the Memphis Grizzlies, Melo blows past the defense, and once being caught in no man's land where it seems like there's nowhere to go, Melo wraps around slinging this pass up the middle of the floor for the wide open triple. Then changing the pace, crossing over on Ben Simmons, as ball gets to the paint, Irving shifts over and Melo kicks it out to PJ Washington for the deep ball. Now these are just the kickouts after the attack, but when teammates cut off ball to the rim, Melo can deliver these slick dump offs when defenders are locked in on him, resulting in easy layups for the receiver. His lanky and slender frame allows Melo to fit in tighter spaces, and for lots of guards a pass like this would be more difficult to make, or they would have opted into a swing out to the opposite corner. Watch as the Warriors funnel Melo into a tight situation, with Looney sliding over to cut him off, and then Draymond and DiVincenzo are surrounding him. Melo takes the bump from Looney, stays control while stepping through, and shovels the pass right to Washington for the two-handed slam. You can't lie, those passes are pretty neat, but maybe you aren't sold just yet, as they might seem pretty basic. Well, wait just 1 second for me, because Melo can add some flair to these dimes, really catching the defense off guard. Now I'm gonna give you a clue to start. This pass is going to PJ Washington, but how is it getting there? Is it a bounce pass through the middle of two defenders, a lob over the top, a behind the back on the attack, or a wraparound pass once the big commits? Okay, now comment your answer down below. 3, 2, 1, and bingo. It's a slick behind the back to PJ Washington that charges up the whole arena. By now you have to be sold, or at least be alert to his craftiness when playmaking on the court. This doesn't come natural for most players his age, as Ball is only 21 years of age, but it's something special in his DNA that gives him the knack to facilitate at a high level. Making the quick decision on the court isn't always the easiest thing to do, especially when you're being pressured, but with Melo, it's like he isn't forced out of his comfort zone too much and can pretty much play in a flow state. Oftentimes all eyes are on him, and it gives him the opportunity to catch the defense off guard with any pass of his choice. When teammates are buried deep in the opposite corner, Melo can sharply dish out a bounce pass across the whole court to connect on an open triple. These cross-court dimes are precise and are too quick for defenders to get to, as they aren't really anticipating them. Watch as Melo gets the tip out from Plumlee. Before he even corrals it in all the way, he's already looking at Rozier, and it's just a bullet through the middle of the defense to the opposite side for the clutch three-pointer. You might think to yourself, well, it would have been sweeter if he would have just caught it with one hand and threw it at the same time. And yeah, I would say that's pretty valid. Nonetheless, it was a fantastic pass, but Melo can actually make these one-handed catch passes just in a slightly different way. When coming off the dribble, Melo can gather it in one hand, zip a pass to a teammate, and more times than not, the defense isn't ready for that, as most players would gather the ball first and then pass the ball. Even with his offhand, he can add in some trickery, as here he hesitates off the cross and just flings this no-look with the left hand all the way across court for the Oubre 3. Spectacular. That's all I can say is spectacular. The high difficulty in some of these passes are ridiculous, and Melo makes it look quite simple. Playing at his amped up and jittery pace, you wouldn't expect him to be able to shift gears and still slow the game down and pinpoint where his openings are, but it's just his second nature to Melo. His smooth handle and slender body lets him coast right past defenders to the basket, and if defenders keep backpedaling on the attack, he can feed them this soft touch floater. On a little side note, his floater game is really underrated, as he can stretch these out far, making the defense pay from a little farther out. I mean, just watch as he comes off the screen. As the defense is playing in drop, Melo floats this up from 16 feet out, making it look effortless. But hey, let's get back on track. Melo is a sneaky yet creative finisher inside, and not really converting at a neck turning percentage just yet. Melo has only converted 48.2% of all of his driving floaters, layups, and dunks, but in the 2021-22 season, Melo finished off converting at a 48.1% rate, so it's safe to say he's on the right path to get over 50% this year. Now, I know we're dealing with drastic difference in sample sizes from year to year, but we're just making a future prediction. Same goes for his deep range shooting. Melo is firing it at a high rate of 11.4 attempts from behind the arc a game and is converting at a 37.7% rate. In my humble opinion, he's looking more comfortable this year when letting it fly and is showing hopes of being a decent shooter. At times it was really unpredictable to if he would be a below average shooter or if he would be a legitimate floor spacer, but now I'm pretty heavy leaning on the legitimate floor spacer option. When we break it down a little further, Melo attempts 5.8 threes off the catch, knocking down 41.3% of those, and attempts 5.6 off pull-ups, draining those at a 34.4% rate. As you can see, he's far more dependable off the catch, so it's best to get Melo in some of these off-ball, backscreen type options, but with him having the ball in his hands a lot, I don't really know how much you can really lean on that. Regardless, he's shooting it fairly well at the moment. Yeah, he needs to work on being more consistent, but so far, I can't really complain just yet. Elite level talents like Ball can either get lost within the NBA and be an average or decent guard, or they can end up being one of the greatest in a certain aspect or just in their all-around game. The potential for LaMelo is high, but let me know what you think. I know we didn't talk much about his scoring in this video, but I wanted to bring something different to the light. Maybe we'll save that for a future video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and comment a video you would like to see on the channel in the future, and pick your choice between this Luka Doncic or James Harden analysis to go watch. I thank you all for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.